This is where we started off here. I was actually just thinking, Dennis, what I'm going to do is, this is not ideal because in my sketch, these I just typed in 100. And really what we want to do is we want to make sure that we set we have parameters that we set. So that way we have fixed parts of our design that we can change, and if we change them, everything else will change. So I'm going to set the width to 100, and I'm going to set the height to 100, and go OK. So now instead of this, I'm going to click on here, and if I put in W, width comes up right away. And here, I'm going to make this height. Actually, I should have called that, I'll call it height for now. Okay. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my new sketch here that I started before. The sketch is on the side here. I'm going to, and I'm going to extrude it. So I'm going to go E, which is the keyboard shortcut for extrude. Going to select this, and I want to extrude it. Now, what I really want to do is I should be extruding it. I should actually have another parameter here called thickness. And I'm going to make that 3. So if I extrude this now, and I'm going to type T, and I'm going to put in thickness. And now you see here, you can see here, there's a gap, and that's because when I extruded, I forgot to select this part. So you can always go back down here to your timeline, go Edit Feature, and then go back up here, and now you'll notice I can't see this part. So that's because I have, why can't I? There we go. So now I've selected that part, the whole thing is selected. Okay, so to make my finger joins, I'm actually going to hide this bottom body piece here. And I'm going to do a new sketch on here. And the first thing I have to do is I have to draw a line across here, which is going to be the depth that I want the finger joins to be, right? So I want this to be the same depth as the thickness of the base. So I'm going to click D, which is the keyboard shortcut for distance or dimensions. And I could type 3, but I actually want this to be the same height as the thickness. So I'm just going to type T and put in thickness. So now I know that's going to be the same thickness as the base. And now I get to put in a bunch of vertical lines for my finger joints. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in one line like that. And now I need to make sure, you see it's blue, which means that it isn't defined yet. It doesn't, the Fusion doesn't know where it is. It's not attached to any existing geometry. So I'm going to click D, and I'm going to click on that line and the edge here. Come on, edge. And I'm going to make that 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter away from the edge. Okay? So now what I need to do is I need to make more of those. So the quickest way to do that is to use the rectangular pattern tool. So I'm going to select this tool. I'm going to drag this over. And you can see here, right now I've got 3 lines I'm making a copy of. So I want to have more than that. So 5, 6, 7. So if I drag this out now, and I think if I've got 9 lines, and I drag this over to here, that's going to give me, that should give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sections, each which is 10 millimeters, right? So I'm going to go OK and finish sketch. So now I've now got some I've now got separate sections that I can use to make my fingers. So now I'm going to go over here and get my extrude tool, and I'm going to select all of the parts I'm going to cut out, but I want to go this direction to cut them out. And so when you're doing an extrude, you've got a number of different options, right? So I can do I can do distance, so this is the distance I tell it to go, or I can go to object. So if I click on to object, then I click on this back face, it will cut it out even with that face. So now I have made my first finger joints. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my other body back on here. Oh, what did I do here? So I need to go figure out what I did. I think when I did my extrude, it should have been, the distance should have been minus thickness. Okay, so now I'm going to have to do that again, I think. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to go thickness. Right, so I should have done it minus thickness, but I didn't. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off this, and we're going to use the move tool. And I'm just going to do a little cheat here. I'm just going to move this over so it's lined up. Okay, so now what I need to do is I'm going to use this shape to cut this bottom shape. So I'm going to use the combine tool. So the first thing I want to do is the target body. That's the one that's going to be cut. Then I'm going to click on the tool body. That's the one that's going to be used to do the cutting. And what I want to make sure is I click on cut. And now I want to also make sure I click on keep tools so that the tool doesn't go away. And now I'm going to click OK. And so what you'll notice now is it's now cut the opposite shape out of that. Right? So now I've basically got my finger joints. Okay? You can use the same technique. I'm just going to do another sketch on here for a minute. So if you've got a shelf that you want to put on, so if I go, I'm just going to go and draw a so we're going to make this thickness wide. And so this is blue because it doesn't know where it is, so I'm going to tell Fusion that it's going to be, now you'll notice here I can't get it to click on here, so that means I need to click P and project it first. So now if I click D, I should be able to make that 50. So now it's gone black. So I'm going to go finish sketch, and we're going to just quickly extrude this over, and we're going to make this minus, I think it's the height. Where's the parameter? Okay, so some of you may also want to make like a, I think I got to go back in here, and I accidentally made that join, so I'm going to make that a new body. Okay, so you can use you can use the same technique we use to make the finger joins to make like a slot here for this shelf to fit in. So what I'm going to do first is hide this body here and turn off that sketch. So I want a new sketch on here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a piece there that I'm going to get to stick out. Now, what I could do is, now this is not centered, so I want to center it. What I want to do is just show you how you can use it to cut. So I'm going to be a little lazy here and not center that right now. But we can now extrude this out, right? We want to extrude it out a distance of thickness, because that's going to be the distance. And we want to join it to this shelf. So now I've added a piece sticking out of there. So now what I can do is I can turn this back on and I can combine them. So this is going to now be my target body. This is going to be my tool body. I click OK, and I've now cut that hole out there, right? So that's kind of how you use those tools to build your finger joins and your slots on your shape. So I'm